Hello, Socrates at SaddleBrooke. Welcome back to our series, Has Science Rediscovered a Creator? What has the scientific evidence of the last 50 years revealed about our origins? Today, we're going to take a close look at our home base here, planet Earth. Is Earth just a cosmic accident, as our naturalistic scientists say, or is it a privileged planet, the result of intention and purpose, as our theistic minded scientists say? But first I have to tell you that I'm still out of compliance with headquarters. I mean, you remember last time I got into trouble because I was not wearing my flight jacket? Well, the Supreme Commander caught something else I failed to do, and she has forgiven me, but I need to capture this moment on camera. I forgot to put it on. There we go. And now I'm ready to go, and there's going to be peace at Supreme Headquarters. In our typical Socrates way of evaluation, we will be thinking deeply about this subject, investigating the scientific evidence with an open mind. We will attempt even to be cognizant of our own assumptions, including mine, and attempt to have them not unduly influence our evaluation. We will attempt to draw conclusions regarding the direction that the evidence points, naturalism, theism, and then follow the path to wherever the evidence is leading us. Where's your hometown? Mine is right here in beautiful Saddleback, Arizona, USA. Yours might be on the other side of the world. We have a lot of viewers over there. In actuality, though, we're all in the same hometown when it comes to the universe. We're all inhabitants of planet Earth and share that common humanity. Are there inhabitants of other planets? We don't know. So far, it doesn't look that way. We've explored the other planets and moons in our own solar system and found no one there, not even the most rudimentary form of life yet. And we've been searching into the heavens for radio signals from other places, other civilizations, all the way. In fact, we can see all the way out to the outer limits of the universe right now, and have yet to see any signals of intelligent life. But what we do know is pretty amazing, because we have studied intensively the requirements necessary to create planet Earth and sustain life. And we've discovered that it's literally a miracle that we exist at all. Planet Earth has been the just right condition for supporting life, particularly conscious and curious creatures like ourselves. We have the scientific discoveries of the last 50 years revealed, let's say, the near miracle conditions. That's the topic we're going to be exploring this month. What does the science have to say about the origin of planet Earth? Next month, we'll look at what science has to say about the creation of life. Let's start with the question, where did the Earth come from? To the naturalist, the answer is it evolved by chance and natural law out of the Big Bang that we discussed last time. To the believer, the answer is, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. But in either case, what did that creation event look like? I mean, wouldn't you have loved to be there and observe that one? And when was the beginning? But we can look at the historical and observational evidence to try to reconstruct what happened in order to have any kind of understanding about this. So what does the accumulated empirical evidence say? Last month, it said, as we laid it out, that the entire universe originated at the time of the Big Bang. And I urge you to watch those two video casts, part 1, part 2, if you haven't done so already. All matter, energy, space, time, as well as all the laws of nature originated at a single point in history that's called the singularity, some 13.8 billion years ago. The Big Bang Theory says that the universe has been evolving and expanding ever since that time, forming the stars, the galaxies, including Earth, all by chance and natural law. The question then becomes, does natural law have the ability to produce such a universe by law and chance? The naturalist says yes. Or is it beyond the reach of the undirected processes of natural law and actually requires direction and intelligent intervention? The theist concludes the transcendent God must intervene because creation is beyond the reach of natural law. Last month, both the naturalist and the theist agreed that something can't come out of nothing. There must be some kind of transcendent cause behind the Big Bang. This month we asked, does the creation of Earth also require a transcendent cause? Let's evaluate the data. The first thing we note is that there are four fundamental forces of nature. They govern the origin and operation of the entire universe: gravity, electromagnetism, and inside the atom we have the weak and strong forces. These four forces govern how all objects in the universe, both large and small, affect one another. And all known forces of nature can be traced back to these four fundamental forces. Next, we note that there are fundamental physical constants, about 24 of them. They describe the operation of the fundamental forces. These constants include things like the speed of light and the gravitational constant. We have to ask ourselves, why these particular values? Why not some other? What we do know, however, about these values is if they were any different, this universe would not exist. We also note that the forces and their constants are so finely tuned that even a microscopic variation in any one of them would negate the evolution of planet Earth. Next, we discover that there are dozens of just right conditions that must be met for planet Earth to evolve. These are the conditions necessary for Earth to sustain life, such as the composition of the air that we breathe, the kind and amount of light and heat that we receive from the sun, the physical properties of the water we drink, and so on. Then there's big picture conditions too, such as the position of Earth in the solar system and the position of the solar system within the Milky Way. All these conditions are amazingly precise and elegantly fine-tuned. That's what science has shown us. Science calls this phenomenon the Anthropic principle, meaning just made for mankind. Well, let's picture these conditions as a wall full of dials. By some counts, there are over 250 of these dials, and the list just keeps growing and getting refined. Each of these conditions is an amazing scientific discovery all by itself, and I urge you to check out the bibliography on the Socrates website under Section 3, Privileged Planet Earth. On the wall, this wall, imagine that each of these dials represents just one of the conditions that controls the setting necessary for planet Earth to evolve and survive. Think of the dial like the thermostat on the wall of your home that controls the temperature of your house, and it's set precisely to 72 degrees. Let's have some fun. I mean, suppose 14 billion years ago you won the cosmic lottery, and the prize you received was to participate in the creation of the Earth by setting these dials. Now, you don't know the correct setting, so you have to set each one of them randomly until you find the right one. You experience failure after failure after failure to produce Earth. You never get the setting right. Why? Well, for one thing, you run out of time. 14 billion years is way too short a time. Also, we know that all these 250 dials must be set exactly to a particular value. And if this setting was off, even by a tiniest hairbreadth, the just right condition would fail and there would be no Earth. Worse yet, these dials have to be set in the exact correct order. And if you don't know that either. You have to guess the order as well. I mean, can you imagine, even begin to imagine the probability of setting these dials correctly without instruction? Doesn't it make more sense that the dial setting requires foreknowledge? How does the naturalist reply to this? Well, he says, I know it seems impossible, but it must have happened. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. Well, That's a good answer. That's true, but it's hardly an explanation. I'll come back to this with my rejoinder to that in a few minutes. Theists, on the other hand, say that the Creator sets about the task to set the dials correctly, which is impossible by chance and natural means. They say that the probability of chance and natural law getting the job done is literally zero. But if one must make a probability calculation to justify that conclusion, then, as one theoretical astrophysicist put it, it would be comparable to throwing 30 sharpened pencils up into the air and expecting them all to land on the table, point down, and remain standing together after that. Naturalists kindly respond, now, don't whip out on us. Just keep looking for the answer. There must be a naturalistic answer because science demands it. To which I reply, no, science doesn't demand it. Science is the search for truth. Naturalism demands it, not science. Naturalism is an atheistic philosophy. Science is not. Science is neutral. So both options then, the theistic option and the naturalistic option, deserve to be on the table for evaluation. When does one stop beating their head against a wall and start looking for different ways and different views to consider the same hard data that's before us? Let's take a more detailed look at a few of these 250 dials that control the evolution of planet Earth. We already noticed that the heavens and the earth and the natural laws were supposedly created by the transcendent cause at the Big Bang. The dials were created then and set to the precise values required. If otherwise, the stars, galaxies, planet Earth would not have evolved. If the forces, constants, and dial setting were any different, even off by a trillionth of a percentage point, there would be no universe, no Earth, and certainly no curious observers like us attempting to figure it out. Let's look at dial 1. Dial 1 is the Earth's location in the Milky Way galaxy. Our solar system is located about halfway out from the center of the Milky Way. At the center of the Milky Way, there's a gigantic black hole that emits deadly radiation. If we were any closer to that center, we would not survive. If we were any further away, we would not be able to observe and discover where we are in the Milky Way. How about dial 2? Dial 2 is Earth's location in the solar system. Earth is the just right distance from the sun. 2% distance change results in the death of all life. All water would either evaporate or freeze. Earth has just the right rotation rate as it goes around the sun. Any longer than 24 hours, by a small amount, temperatures would be too hot. Any shorter, temperatures would be too cold, and it would be too windy. Dial number 3 looks at our moon, our remarkable moon, by the way. Our miraculous moon, by the way. Our moon is unique in both size and distance compared to all the other moons on all the other planets. The evidence reveals that it was formed by a totally unique event after its original creation. As utterly improbable, if not miraculous, this event occurred 4.5 billion years ago. That's what the evidence shows. And we've been to the moon, so we have some pretty firm evidence on this. A Mars-sized planetoid, astronomers call it Theia, collided with the original Earth at an angle and speed so precisely fine-tuned that total destruction was avoided, but instead it created an entirely new, unique moon system that we have today. If this event had not happened, Earth would not have been capable of sustaining life. It needs this unique moon. Dial 4 is Earth's remarkable construction. Earth is a rocky planet with a crust, a mantle, and a liquid iron core. The core produces the just right magnetic shield to surround the planet to protect it from the sun's deadly radiation. The crust facilitates tectonic and volcanic activity that recycles the Earth's nutrients and produces the continents and the soil necessary for vegetation and animal life. And there are just right amounts of radioactive minerals and materials such as uranium in the crust to produce the just right amount of underground heat along with the core to keep everything balanced. Dial 5 is the Earth's atmosphere. This thin blue band that enables life on Earth, Earth's air composition is perfect. 78% nitrogen, just the right amount to build DNA and protein. 21% oxygen. Any less, we wouldn't be able to breathe. Any more, the entire atmosphere would explode with the next lightning bolt. 1% water vapor, just right for cloud production and precipitation. Without a stable water cycle, there is no vegetation and hence no life. 0.04% carbon dioxide, the just right amount of carbon for photosynthesis to take place. The Earth's atmosphere allows just the right type and just the right amount of heat, light from the sun, and it forms just the right protective shield from the meteors. Dial 6, water. Water is amazing. It's just right miracle properties. It's a universal miracle molecule, the second most abundant molecule in the universe. Earth is the only astronomical body to have liquid water on its surface. Earth's water's amazing qualities have no equal in science, and water is absolutely required for cellular life to exist. That's why scientists attempt to discover liquid water in their search for life on other planets. Life requires all three forms of water to coexist simultaneously. The vapor form, so we can have an atmosphere that supports evaporation and rainfall. We need it in liquid form for our seas and for the fresh water supply. And in solid form, the snow and the ice and glaciers help shape the continents for us. And regarding human beings, water makes up 70% of our bodies, giving life to our cells and organs, bones, lungs, kidneys, as well as our brain. And the primary ingredients in our blood supply is water. It delivers the oxygen throughout the body. Water is even imperative in our perspiration. It precisely regulates the extreme narrow range of temperatures in which our body functions. So I encourage you to read more about water, read about this miracle molecule, and you can find that in my essay that accompanies Privileged Planet Earth on the website. So, conclusion, what do we make of all this? Well, remember, we just looked at 6 just right conditions that covered only 6 of the 250 that I said exists. Sir Fred Hoyle, the world famous and world-renowned cosmologist who led the charge against accepting the Big Bang Theory that we talked about last time, and the self-declared atheist, eventually softened his stand based on his evaluation of all this data. He looked at it with an open mind and said, a common sense interpretation of the facts suggests that a super intellect has monkeyed with physics as well as with chemistry and biology, and that there are no blind forces worth speaking about in nature. The numbers one calculates from the facts seems to me so overwhelming as to put that conclusion almost beyond question. Naturalism does not account for the exquisitely fine-tuned conditions we find. It must resort to a transcendent cause for Earth, as it did with the creation event. Now, the most frequently given transcendent naturalistic answer to this is the multiverse. That is, that out there, somewhere beyond where we can never find it, there are an infinite number of universes, and we just happen to live in the one that works just right. This argument concludes with, well, if it didn't work that way, then we wouldn't be here. Well, that's a good answer, but personally, that's not satisfactory to me. What about you? My rejoinder is along the following lines. No, it's not shooting the messenger. But when my wife and I were in Sarasota, Florida, we visited the Ringling Museum of Art. I was fascinated by this picture and took this photo. It reminded me of a response given by Christian philosopher William Lane Craig to the multiverse argument. Suppose I was facing this firing squad for crimes against the state. Each of these marksmen have their rifle pointed spot on to my heart. I hear the guns go off, but amazingly I survive. Now, would I conclude that since I'm still here, they must have all missed me? Is that a satisfactory explanation? Nah. I mean, it's absurd for me to think that they all missed me unintentionally. Wouldn't I immediately suspect that there was intention and purpose behind their action? Wouldn't I want to discover what that intention and purpose was? Naturalism says there is no intention or purpose in creation. How does it know that? It doesn't. It's just an anti-theist assumption. Remember Richard Lewontin's quote in session 1. The naturalist, quote, cannot allow a divine foot in the door, period. Well, one will never know then if there was intention, if one refuses to consider intentional causes. Perhaps there is a non-theistic reason for intention and purpose, but one will never find it if they are willfully blind to the possibility. Freeman Dyson was a venerated mathematical physicist at the Institute for Advanced Study at Princeton University. He was a self-declared agnostic, but over the course of his career, he carefully considered all the arguments to explain the hard data before him. He eventually declared, as we look into the universe and identify the many accidents of physics and astronomy that have worked together to our benefit, it almost seems as if the universe must have, in some sense, known we were coming. So I conclude this. Let's put both explanations on the table, intentional as well as unintentional, and then follow the path wherever that may lead. Part 2, I'll consider the tantalizing topic, are we alone? Does ET exist? How close are we to discovering life on other planets? That proposition goes something like this. Since there are many billions and billions of stars out there, there must be millions of other universes or solar systems and galaxies with planets just like ours. And some of them must have the just right conditions for life like we do. Along those same lines, I will discuss what scientists call the Copernican principle. This is the popular theme of TV documentaries such as Cosmos. That story goes something like this. Well, Copernicus told us that the Earth was not the center of the universe. That was just an old religious concept. Hard science now has shown that planet Earth is just a tiny speck of dirt in an infinite, almost infinite universe. Therefore, Earth holds no privileged position. Is that conclusion justified? Then I will conclude the whole session by looking at the Genesis account of the origin of the Earth and evaluating it in light of what the scientific evidence of the past 50 years has revealed. So please come back for part 2 of Privileged Planet Earth. Make sure you get notified of its release by going to the website and subscribing to the videocast. They're free. And if you want to be part of the Socrates Forum, which is even real fun, where great questions and answers are exchanged among the members, please consider joining the Socrates Club at SaddleBrooke Club. It costs only a small membership fee just to join, and details are on the website. So until next time, I'm Stuart Orr, and reminding you to keep thinking deeply, stay open-minded to all the evidence, and follow the path wherever it's leading you.